Hey Trevor, my name's Cam, longtime addict here. Love absolutely everything you do and been following you for years. I'm going to get right into it because I've noticed in most of the Fix Your Franchise episodes, there are some levels of cap inconsistencies or just some numbers that you've been not getting correct when going over these contracts, especially when it comes to trades and cuts. Um, and so I just want to go through a few examples starting a bit more simple and then going to a bit more complex. So let's just start with DJ Moore because that one's really simple. And in this last Wednesday's episode, you discussed trading him for Kayvon Thibodeau. So straightforward contract for DJ Moore. You have a $20 million signing bonus, right? Prorated over 5 years, $4 million each year. Now, as soon as the player leaves a roster for any reason, trade or cut, the signing bonus cap numbers get pushed up to that year that they leave the roster. The signing bonus itself is paid in cash up front, but that's irrelevant for for these purposes. So you would mention that if DJ Moore's traded, the Giants or other team would be picking up 16.5 mil. That is incorrect. That's just how much the Bears would be saving, right? Because you have your 28.5 minus 4 minus 4 minus 4 equals 16.5 mil. And the Giants would take on everything else. So that would be 28.5 minus 4 mil, meaning they would take on 24.5 mil for that year. And of course, base salary can always be restructured pretty much at the team's will. So that one's more simple. Speaking of simple contracts, all of the GMs do contracts a little bit differently. Like if you look at all of the New York Giants contracts, everything done by Joe Shane is very straightforward. I don't think there's a single void year in any of his contracts, which is kind of odd, but thoughts aside. San Francisco, I mean, they put lots of void years seemingly necessarily in every single contract, except this one. Hold on, let's make a point. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, like what's it? And then there's Howie Roseman, who does all of his contracts in a very odd way. So if you look here, if you ever do fix your franchise on the Eagles, which it doesn't seem like would be anytime soon, this will be very important because if you notice, when you cut pretty much all their players, they lose money. And that's because of the way they're structured. Let's go AJ Brown. So they have veteran minimum base salaries for most of their contracts with decent size signing bonuses. Some of them are very small. And then it's the option bonuses. All right. Now, I think the option is vested the year of for a lot of Howie's contracts. You can have it vested a year in advance or, pretty much whatever you want. But it's kind of odd because over the cap does not show how option bonuses are structured. It just says, look, you have a guaranteed salary of 29 million one year with a cap hit of 23 million. Gee, that makes sense. So how option bonuses work, let me go to a fake contract I wrote because I'm a psycho. So Jane Daniels extension, hypothetical. I put in some option bonuses to show how it worked. So I have these guaranteed 1 year in advance. So this option bonus, for example, would be 25 million, guaranteed in 2028 for the year 2029, and then prorated over the next 5 years. So this is guaranteed, but only 5 million is going to affect the cap for that year, and then that's why. Let's go back to AJ Brown. Notice the numbers for option are going up, 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 and then they start going back down. It's because it'll have some similar sort of structure as this. So you have 5 mil the first year here, 9.2, 12.6, goes up and then starts coming back down. All right, now let's get to a different contract because you might be doing a fix your franchise for the Arizona Cardinals, and there's kind of a fun example for this one. So Kyler Murray, let's look at his contract. Right now, it says if you trade him, you save 35.3 million. That is correct based on the timeline in which you trade him. All right, so notice a roster bonus is very large. It's 17 million, and it's due the 5th day of the league year, I believe, in cash. So yeah, March 17th, 36.8 million of 2026 salary is guaranteed. That includes this. So if Kyler Murray, if you're doing right, you do fixer franchises, it's always in advance. So you can't really trust this number without looking at some of the um, stipulations. So if Kyler Murray's traded during the draft, for instance, they will have already paid this, right? So the new team would not be picking up this, would not be picking up the prorated bonus. Instead, again, it's everything else. So it would be roughly 30 to 33 million instead of up to 50 million for the new team. A lot more enticing for another team taking a shot on Kyler Murray, for example. So just make sure to look for when bonuses are guaranteed and how option bonuses are structured. All right, now for the fun part, the Cleveland Browns, because I know you're doing, or at least you said you're doing a fixture franchise for the Browns at some point, and the Browns can be very complicated, especially because their numbers in the calculator for 2026 are, I won't say inaccurate, they're misleading. So I'm going to show you the template that I use for doing my off-season mocks. I'll zoom out a bit. I do this for pretty much every team, again, because I'm a psycho. So here's the Browns roster in 2026. I put projected draft picks in here as well to get 20 million in projected cap casualties or cap hits in 2026. I think this number is still about right. I got it earlier in the season, 17 mil rollover, and then you have 123 dead cap plus void. All right, that's not the number that's going to appear on over the cap because it's 27 million plus the sum of all these guys who are no longer on the roster, right? Now, over the cap assumes that these guys are still on the roster for $0 contracts. All right, that's why you have Wyatt Teller, for instance. Wyatt Teller, who has cap numbers of 10.3 million next year, 11.1 million the year after, even though they're both void. These are all due, so 23 million or 21 million due immediately in 2026 if he is no longer on the roster. If he is extended or signed before February 10th when the contract voids, you will have 8.23 or 293 million plus whatever base salary you want, probably 1.3 because every year up to 2023 the veteran minimum salary goes up 45,000. Fun fact. So you'll have probably 1.3 million plus 8.2 million plus whatever the prorated bonus is to finish out the APY for a 1-year contract, assuming it's a 1 year. Probably tack on a void year to get 4, and then have that signing bonus divided by 5 to be the third part of that equation to go into the cap for this year. So that would probably end up being somewhere around, I don't know, 13 million to have him on the roster. And then you'd still owe him, more money in the future, but that's at least lower than the 21 million that it says you owe him now. And again, here it says you only have negative 2 million. That's just not right because of all these contracts like this. It's only counting 10.3 against Wyatt Teller right now. It's doing the same. Wait, is it doing the same for Joel Bitonio? No, it's getting that one right. That's good. Harris. Yeah, it's getting a lot of them right. Let me look at David Njoku. Okay, well that's nice. Wyatt Teller's a weird one. Anyway, this also isn't including potential draft picks, right? Team effective salary. So going down all the way to negative 55 million is a pretty big deal. um, Now, how do you get back up? All right, to be cap compliant. Well, you'd think you'd want to restructure Myles Garrett, but you save like $5 million. Ooh, that's because he already has very low, right? That's event minimum in 2026, 1.3. And that's all the money you have to work with really here. And then your option, because option, as we discussed, is uh, part of salary. So you can't really go that route. I mean, you can restructure a bunch of guys to try to get up, but you'll need to extend guys like Joel Bitonio, who again, so this is saying 23 million, and that's right. But if you extend him, you only owe him this much plus new base salary plus new prorated bonus for that year. So it would go down probably from 23 to, again, probably 13, 14-ish. So you'd save almost 10 million there. So it's weird needing to have guys on the roster who are projected to leave in order to become cap compliant. Now, elephant in the room, Deshaun Watson. So you cut Deshaun Watson now, normal cut, you lose 50 mil against the cap. It is not 50 mil because of forced Deshaun Watson. It's 131 mil, right? So you're already accounting for the 80.7 that goes into the negative 55 million. You need to, uh, become cap compliant. So this would bring it down to about negative 105 million, just not an option. So what if you cut him post? Well, this is all guaranteed, right? So you would pay him still 80, you'd save $0, wonderful. And then these aren't the numbers. These are the numbers if he's still on the roster that you must pay him those years. If he's off the roster because you cut him, all this, 50 million-ish, you have to pay him next year. None of this helps you. So what can you do? You can restructure him for, let's see, you'd convert this to about 1.3, so it would be 44.7. You have your 5 void years plus 1, so you divide that by 5, be 9. So you'd probably save about 36-ish million. So that's good. But then next year you would owe him what, 87 million to not be on the roster and just have the same issue. So I'm not going to tell you how to do fix your franchise. Absolutely love the way you guys do it. Love everything you do, as I said. But those are some issues that you're going to have to work around. It's all likely that he's going to be on the roster again and restructured, and then maybe even extended if they can't get cap compliant the next year, just because of how this horrific deal was set in the beginning. So I hope this helps. Love listening to you guys, and have a great day. Thanks, champ.